Coming up, 2 holes agree on victory. New South Wales gives a big middle finger to Queensland. And the Bulldogs slay a debilitated, fire-breathing chicken. Yes, hello and welcome to the Sideline Chat podcast, our one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and today we've got your NRL round 14 and 15 debrief. But before we start with that, it's the Origin 1 debrief. And we have got, this was just, it was absolute perfection, Mark Henry, was it not? New South Wales 50, Queensland 6 for game 1.
It was a phenomenal performance by the Blues. And before we get into it, I would like to welcome you back after having a week absence. It was just a superb performance by the Blues. Queensland were not in it from pretty much kickoff. And the Blues just showed what they're capable of and sending a warning signal out to game 2.
The game plan was sort of, Queensland would have had to have known what the game plan would have been early. It was Tom Trbojevic hover around the middle of the field, chase anything that flies, and then score the try, out jumping Valentine Holmes. That was pretty much the game plan the whole time.
It pretty much was, and it exactly happened. And yet again, New South Wales won on a neutral ground. What is it with New South Wales and neutral ground?
Well, it wasn't neutral, it was in Queensland.
Well,
nothing's neutral when it's in Queensland.
No, but it was at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, not at Suncorp. So
regardless, it's still Queensland. We were deep on enemy territory.
True, but we've managed to win it this once in Townsville, and hopefully they can back it up again in game 2. But you can't. The Blues were just didn't put a foot wrong all match.
Well, we did once. That was letting Queensland score.
Yes, but other than that, when they were had the possession of the ball, they didn't make hardly any errors. Come half time, they already were out to a 20.26 lead. So,
one man that impressed me, other than Tom Trbojevic, because he was outstanding, Latrell Mitchell. I mean, this was his first game back in the Origin arena in 2 years. Now, everyone knows what happened at the beginning of the 2019 series. This guy came back in and was like he never left. This was like 2018 Latrell Mitchell.
It was very true. He played a superb performance. Another player I'd like to point out was Brian Toto scoring a double on the win in Origin debut. How often does that happen nowadays?
It doesn't happen that often.
And he managed to do it. So it was good to see that he played well. Like, pretty much you had the whole team was basically full of Penrith players because they had 6 of them in there. So
seven
of
across both sides.
Yes. But it was good to see that they kept the call. I believe the halves combination of Cleary and Luai from the club football to Origin football helped a lot.
Sort of like with James Maloney and Mitchell Pearce at the Roosters in some of those poorer performing series.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have a more younger team. I'm not saying that when we had the poorer series it was bad, but it's just everything's clicking together. And for Queensland, well, what can you say about them though? They were nowhere.
Edge defense across both sides was poor. I mean, they let Tarek Sims from a 20-meter cutout offload for Brian Toto. How many second rows do you let get away with a 20-meter crossfield cutout offload?
Very, very minimal.
You just don't.
Exactly.
And then, of course, it didn't help. They had either you got to defend the left-hand side and you got to deal with Latrell Mitchell, or you got to defend the right-hand side and you got to deal with Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah, who I believe didn't really play centre much. He was more roaming around the pack here, there, and everywhere.
It was the Game 2 Origin plan from 2019, and Freddie's plan absolutely worked wonders.
It definitely did. Let's hope he keeps the same team heading to game number 2.
Well, it all depends on how suspensions and player management comes out of both round 15 and 16. That'll be the big thing, I'd have to say.
It would be the big thing, and Queensland I believe there's going to be mass changes.
Well, there's going to be some big ins.
I'll
give you
big
2.
outs.
Papali'i will be the first one in for me.
Yeah.
He'll be back in there for sure.
And maybe Palmer. Maybe. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's a big maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Well, but we'll see how things go.
Yes. In a couple of weeks' time, we'll just get through 2 more full rounds of football, and then we'll be back into the Origin arena yet again. So it's not over yet.
Well, going off Origin now. We're back into some good old-fashioned club football with your round 14 debrief. And we start off Manly, down the Cowboys 50 points to 18.
And they know how to win when they're honouring a legend of their team.
So you're going to take a shot at the Tigers right here, right now?
Yes. They did. The Tigers didn't obviously win with Tommy Rodriguez when they honoured him at Leichhardt and at Campbelltown. Manly did when they honoured the late, great Bob Fulton at Manly. At the newly named Four Pines Park, we had that mentioned.
Supporting local Manly businesses by having their name plastered across the entire National Rugby League. It helps.
Yes, it does.
Brand recognition and all that.
Yeah. But
it's got a good ring to it. It does, doesn't it? Four Pines Park.
Yeah.
I mean, Fortress Four Pines.
Yes.
How awesome does that sound?
It sounds good. And with the team that Manly had on the weekend, they kind of did make it a fortress for the Cowboys. The Cowboys,
well, didn't start off that way because Scott Drinkwater stood up early. It was like 2 tries within the opening 10 minutes the Cowboys jumped out to.
Well, yes, I was just about to say the Cowboys started off early, but then Manly came through and absolutely belted them. Thanks to, I don't know, well, without Tommy Turbo showed
Ruben Garrick. How
Evans
bloody good was he? And there's word going round that he's actually signed another 2-year contract extension to stay at the Sea Eagles.
Well, why would he leave Sea Eagles? He's found a home. He's playing week in, week out. So he's playing really consistent football and it's only getting better and better.
I'll tell you who was a standout for Manly, though, and it came from the top. Daly Cherry Evans.
Yes.
This bloke got absolute pillared in Origin 1, but we were just talking about.
48 hours prior, mind you.
And so to come to Fortress Four Pines and back up, the way he backed up, 145 running meters, 3 try assists, 13 tackle breaks, and 6 offloads, just tore the Cowboys apart.
He definitely did. It was good to see that he could back up from Origin. Like not many players did in that match. But he did really exceptionally well, like you said, with the stats he has there. I like this Brad Parker. He had.
I think everyone's probably not said much about Brad Parker, but we know what Des Hasler's done. This bloke is a starting centre. He just is.
He definitely is, and he showed again on the weekend, scoring the first try for Manly and the last try for Manly. So, and also, I'll get his name right in a minute.
Kamule Olakawatu. Those tries. If I was defending that, I would be embarrassed that I let a second rower out-jump me and out-muscle me, not once, but twice.
Yes. He had a brilliant game.
I think Curtis Sirenen's going to have a hard time trying to get back onto that edge. I think Olakawatu is the new right edge.
Yes, especially with the right he's been playing over the last few weeks of footy. He's been playing exceptionally well. Valentine Holmes also backed up, but he had
an absolute shocker. How many times did you see Valentine Holmes get exposed?
Multiple times.
I mean, I think it also came to the point, the Dylan Walker try that was scored. Put the chip up over the top of Holmes. He didn't even compete for the ball. Walker just outcompeted him.
Yeah. And Walker was returning too, I believe. So it was a good return for him as well. The only thing that Valentine Holmes did was kick the 3 goals. That's pretty much the only thing.
The only thing he could do.
Pretty much. And the side that got belted. But it's on the way out for Manly.
Well, it's over for North Queensland. They've now conceded 50.
Yes, it is. Unlike another team that's been in the top 8 this season, as in the South Sydney Rabbitohs, but that was twice. And someone that's outside the top 8.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys' premiership ambition is well and truly over.
But we don't know. It's a funny game, rugby league.
Well, speaking of it being a funny game, this result, though many would have expected it, but not the way it ended. The Sharks 19, downing the Panthers 18.
And what was a cracking last... Well, since pretty much when Matt Burton scored on the 56th minute.
It was really... Penrith had nothing going.
Yeah.
They just didn't. I mean, Mulatalo made a break early, thanks to Matt Moylan. And then Matt Moylan backed that up.
Yeah.
And then that combination we were talking about in the preseason when the Sharks played their only trial match, that was sort of their ideal attack zone on that left edge. Moylan, Kennedy, Mulatalo. And that was on show for both Moylan's try that started things off, and then when Mulatalo backed it up later on in the game.
Yeah, it just goes to show that without their star players, Panthers can't do it. They came so close, but yet again they got beat in the first back-to-back losses all year. Well, for a long time actually. I think I heard it was the first time the Panthers lost back-to-back since 2018.
Well,
what a record!
They've been on a massive run since 2020, to be honest. So,
well, yeah, that's true. The Panthers did, however, keep the Sharks scoreless in the second half until Sean Johnson kicked that winning field goal with 2 minutes to go.
I think the Sharks I think you could see it. They got overconfident that they could actually take the Panthers on. They got out to an 18-2 lead and thought, all right, boys, let's put the cue in the rack. Time to go. Then Penrith came out. They didn't have anything, but Matt Burton gave them something to compete for.
Yes. And he was the one that scored, that tried to bring it back within pretty much the level of the game, you could say.
He dragged all of Penrith that night, even though they had Coruscant playing, because as he didn't play for the Blues in Origin 1, he's the 18th man. But even with Burton and Coruscant as their opportunities, they just didn't convert.
No, they didn't at all. And it was a dent in their, obviously, minor premiership run. They're still with it, but now they're second.
Yeah, second on the ladder because Melbourne have now shot to first.
But Penrith can still do it. But both Connor and I did say that come Origin time they'll start going downhill. Well, it's shown they've lost two in a row. So.
But at the same time, the opposition they did beat, West Tigers, and they lost to, I should say, West Tigers and the Cronulla Sharks, they're not exactly top 8 contenders, although the Sharks, you could argue, have been on the rise, but got extremely lucky there.
Yes, but also Sharks and Tigers weren't affected by Origin as of much, or if not at all. So
see, that's the other thing as well.
Yeah, if you keep your core playing group during Origin period, you've got more chance of beating top 8 teams and causing upsets, and this is what has shown across the last 2 matches, and hence why Penrith have gone down.
Yeah. Now, this game was an absolute thriller. The Roosters 35 down in the Gold Coast Titans 34, but it didn't seem that way to begin with, did it?
No, it seemed like the Roosters were in absolutely control and going to go and humiliate the Titans, yet again. But no, somehow the Titans came back within, they locked up the score with under 10 minutes to go.
That was unbelievable. It was like Jamal Fogarty must have taken control big time.
Definitely. But Sam Walker, with 2 minutes on the go, he kicked that winning field goal.
Oh, jeez. But the middle of the Titans, they just got, between Lamb and Walker, they got exposed.
They did.
I mean, they had Fasul Malawi and Fafita, and they think they had, Fotuaker all backing up from Origin while AJ Brimson was on the sideline.
Yeah. But it goes to show that Titans can do it against the top team.
This is the second time within 3 weeks that the Titans have almost stuck it to a top 4 contender.
Yes.
They went down by a try to Melbourne before Origin 1, and now they've gone almost toe-to-toe with the Roosters after they had a 12-man defensive line, I should say. And they were just very unlucky not to actually win.
Well, like I said, coming down to the last couple of minutes of the match, it could have been anyone's game.
Well, yeah. But this effort from Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, who was the captain of the Roosters at the time, 221 running meters, 3 tackle breaks and on offload in 80 minutes. That is leadership. If you're a front row willing to go 80 minutes. Because not many of them can
No, not very many at all, no.
But this bloke, he's gone 80 on a semi-regular basis.
Yes.
Basis in his career. So to be out there with all these rookie forwards the Roosters are carrying on the bench against the Gold Coast bench that had Origin stars, essentially.
Yeah.
That was a very much an outstanding effort.
It pretty much was. And it shows that you could say the Titans, I don't know if you call them a young team, but not that experienced, and kind of got a mixture of more onto the younger teams and I say the Roosters, they've got young teams too, young team as well, but they've got a lot more experienced players than what the Titans have. I loved Angus Crichton's try. Sam Walker with that. No, was it Lachlan Lamb? No, it was Sam Walker that passed to Angus Crichton, who has got a bit of speed on him, more than I thought, and it went over.
Oh, that try Crichton scored. If he had his pants pulled down by Jaden Campbell, that would have been an absolute embarrassment.
It would have been, yes. But it didn't happen, so...
Because he got lucky. He thought it was a second rower trying to fend off a fullback.
Yes, and the size difference between Crichton and Campbell, it's pretty reasonable, so, yeah. No, but overall, the Roosters somehow got through and won the match. Just.
Only just.
I'd say the Titans, Roosters, and the Sharks, Panthers were the games of the round, by far.
All right, big call.
2 close matches.
Now, South Sydney bounced back strongly down in the Newcastle Knights, 24 points to 10. Alex Johnston he just loves scoring tries, doesn't he?
Even with having the bye last week, he's come back and continued on where he left off, scoring a hat trick.
I mean, the Knights' right edge, this is a recurring theme, that the Knights' right edge defensively is their weaker edge, and it has just been demonstrated again. Even without... Oh, no, Latrell was backing up. But
yes.
Walker and Johnston were running that show down the left-hand side for the Rabbits.
Yeah, definitely so. As you said, Latrell backed up. I think someone else backed up for South. Cam Murray didn't. Damien Cook didn't.
I think it might have been Jai Arrow that also backed up.
Yeah, so... Or was it Jaden Sewell? No, Jaden Sewell didn't get selected.
No, Sewell was.
Yeah, so
that's the more surprising part. Sewell was actually selected by Paul Green.
And he backed up by scoring a try as well. So I know this was Saturday and Origin was on the Wednesday, but it was still backing up.
Yeah.
Close-ish.
Backup's a backup.
Yeah. But for the Knights, Dominic Young got his
first try in his second appearance in the NRL.
Yes. Which has been a recurring theme in the last couple of weeks, just like Joseph Suwali. And with Kurt Mann crossing over, that was pretty much the only highlights for the Newcastle side.
They've collapsed. There's no pretty way of putting it. Like, if we were to go off the first, 2 months of the Premiership, you'd think Newcastle would still have a chance.
Yeah.
You fast forward to now, I mean, they're lingering in the bottom 4.
Yes.
It's just not looking good.
But you have to look at all the injuries they've had.
You can't use the injuries. I know they have, but you can't really
use that excuse.
It comes to a point where you have to say, all right, we might have 6 players out that are of Origin caliber, but we have no excuses left to say.
Well, look at the Roosters. They've been more injury-plagued than what the Knights have, and still managed to win games.
Yeah, the Roosters don't bullshit. The Roosters have got a culture where they might suffer a couple of setbacks, but there's somebody ready to step up when it is needed.
Yes.
I mean, Sam Walker, he's an example of that. Luke Keary goes down, you think, oh, God, the Roosters season is gone. All of a sudden, Walker comes in. They've held him back for 3 years. Walker bursts onto the scene, and all of a sudden we're thinking, oh, yeah, why did we doubt the Roosters in the first place? They're probably going to end up winning the Premiership now.
Yeah, but it's a completely different story for the Knights, though. They just haven't got that culture to say, oh, right, we've got to...
They don't have the same resilience that the Roosters or Raiders on their day would have.
Yeah. It's goes to show you now, really need to fix that up fast.
Or Adam O'Brien's out of a job.
Big call.
This is a cutthroat business.
It's a big call.
This is a cutthroat business. I mean, look at Nathan Brown. His departure was the result of some backroom, boardroom stabbings.
That is
and he
true.
lost out. He got Newcastle in decent position in 2019 and then was discarded when things fell apart after the 15th round.
That is true.
And the Knights didn't recover after that. They were lucky, they performed much better under Adam O'Brien initially, but their defensive resolve has completely gone out the window. Their right edge, of course, I've gone on about it. They need cultural shift. And if O'Brien can't deliver it, it's sayonara.
Yeah. And then I'll try and have to drag in yet another coach for, I don't know how many coaches they've had in the last 5 years, but have had multiple.
Stone, Badiris, Brown, Christian Wolf, Adam O'Brien.
Yeah.
All head and interim coaches from 2015 till now.
So they've gone through a lot of coaches. They need to stick with one and hopefully turn it around into finals games.
And fast.
And fast, yes.
I mean, tick-tock, time's running out. There's only 10 rounds left after this weekend.
Yes.
And someone who's very aware that the clock is not on their side, the Canberra Raiders, downing the Brisbane Broncos 38 points to 16.
Now, that performance by the Raiders is what we're used to.
I mean, it was against the Broncos, but...
It's what we're used to from the Canberra side.
At home, freezing cold conditions, nothing better for them.
Exactly. And the Broncos obviously couldn't adapt to how cold it was and didn't play as well.
Well, when have the Broncos ever played well?
Well, true.
Consistently. Because I know someone's probably going to say, hang on, the Broncos have got 3 wins. They've downed the Roosters and the Titans as 2 of their better scouts. Well, yeah, true. But have they been able to back them up the week after?
No.
Exactly. And it has just happened here again. And it was Papali and Josh Hodgson, 2 men that have been under extreme pressure.
Yeah.
And they've stood up. And this was, I think the idea was this was a Jack Whiten-inspired performance that they've just said, hey, look, let's put the last 5 weeks behind us. Let's go out in front of our home faithful who've paid good money to see us play, and let's put on an absolute show. And I think Bailey Simonson was a beneficiary of that. 243 running meters, 2 try assists, and 6 tackle breaks,
Yeah, he had an outstanding game there at fullback.
Fullback,
yeah. So I'd say he might be there for the rest of the season.
Well, the way that Curtis Scott's going, he's probably not going to stay there for long. Jared Croker continues to suffer from injury concerns, whilst Sebastian Christ and Matt Tomoko, they made the most of their opportunities.
And so did Semi Valame.
Oh, yeah, Semi Valame. Oh, that bloke's... He's good to watch, isn't he, Semi Valame?
He is.
Just Fijian wingers, you just...
There's
something about Fijian wingers that's just like, yeah...
Past and present.
They're just like, these blokes are awesome.
They've got something special in them. Corey Harunora's try. That was pretty impressive. He's also got a lot more... speed on him than I first anticipated as well. It's good to see he crashed over. As for the Broncos, well, it was Michael Hunt's return match.
Yep, first game back in close to 2,500 days?
Pretty much. It was very, very close indeed. And it didn't go well because his team lost.
Tessie New also made his comeback as well. I think started out on the wing, didn't he?
Yes. And he wasn't even supposed to be in the game. 10 minutes before kickoff, Tessie New got the late call-up. And he scored that magnificent try he set up himself.
Oh, yes.
How could you go past that?
Oh, of course not.
Like I said, 10 minutes before the game, you weren't even supposed to be playing.
All right.
Late call-up.
Here we go. Controversy corner. Kobe Hetherington. Was it worthy of a send-off?
No. What about yourself?
There is inconsistency that is plaguing the NRL's policing over the crackdown. I'll say that.
Because the punishment, because Kobe Hetherington got sent off, you think, oh, yeah, he's out for at least 2 weeks.
$1,500 fine. No.
Exactly.
Come on,
But
man.
Graham Annesley did come out and say that it was a bit too much for a send-off.
I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say this again. It's still a bit temperamental at this point.
Yes. A sin bin at the least would have been the best option there.
Unfortunately, it didn't end up that way.
Yes, but I think that if Kobe Hetherington got just put in the sin bin, it wouldn't have changed the result anyway. Because Raiders were just too good for the Bronx.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah, I could easily see that happening.
And yeah, the Raiders just outsmarted them, and the Broncos have got another loss this season.
Now, from another loss this season to now sitting the top of the NRL summit, the New Zealand Warriors going down to the Melbourne Storm, 42 points to 16.
And what would be Cameron Marlowe's last game for the New Zealand Warriors?
And what a way to go out.
With a hat-trick.
I mean, he wasn't even meant to play that game.
No, he wasn't.
Unfortunately, Rocco Berry goes down injured, so Marlowe earns one last call-up for his New Zealand Warriors. And what does he do? Scores a hat-trick.
In the 60th 76th and 79th minutes. They were pretty close together, especially the last
But
two.
the Warriors' defense, especially down the the right side defensively, Melbourne's left attack, not good. It was not good at all.
No, it wasn't at all, and it got clearly exposed. Like, I think it has a few times already this current season.
Yeah.
But I also had to point out, Chanel Harris-Tavita.
Tore his pec. They're saying it's end of the season for him.
But not only that, he broke Brandon Smith in half.
He snapped the cheese.
Not physically, but it pretty much was.
It was just like a good tackle.
It was. How often do you see Brandon Smith get tackled like that?
I heard that he was so embarrassed after getting cleaned up by a halfback. Especially one that hits as hard as Harris-Tavita does.
Oh, yes.
You have to think back to last year, Warriors Penrith at Gosford, when he tried to kamikaze himself against Liam Martin.
Yeah.
That was just... The man's crazy.
He is, and he's known for his good defence, and it's meant to show just then against Brandon Smith. But Brandon Smith did make up for it. I think he scored the try before. He got cleaned up, but...
Yeah, he did eventually crash over, did the King Gouda himself.
Yes. Josh Adokars try in the corner there. I thought how he had his body positioned to the try line.
You don't doubt a winger. The way these wingers are athletically built these days, you don't doubt them.
It looked very awkward though. His body position looked very awkward, but more than just me and the available camera angles.
Yeah, that'll have to be the case.
And Tommy Eisenhuth got over, which he doesn't get very many at all. So
considering he had to wait close to 8 years between drinks,
yes,
for a first grade game,
that's a very, very long time. Well,
he's got this opportunity, and the Melbourne Storm has provided greatly for him.
Yeah, and hopefully he keeps getting minutes either from the bench or starting. So now he's one on the rise, but Melbourne were just too classy as always again.
And now that they're back on top of the ladder, with all the continuing problems that Victoria seems to be suffering from for certain reasons we're not allowed to say lest we be censored off this platform, this is the second time in 2 years they've had to relocate to the Sunshine Coast, and they've just gotten on with the job.
That's true. But at least they've actually had some games in Melbourne this year compared to what they had last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they only got one game in Melbourne last year. Or maybe two, but both were behind closed doors before they had to flee.
Yes. And I believe that I don't think they're going to be on the Sunshine Coast I don't know how long, but it shouldn't be too far away.
I wouldn't hold your breath. That they might be returning to Melbourne soon.
Yeah. Maybe after the origin period. Might be a bit of a stretch, but who knows?
It is a big, big stretch.
It is. And what was a big, big stretch was the West Tigers getting, you could say, beaten.
Pummeled, what I think would be the definition.
Yeah, by the Parramatta Eels 40 points to 12 at Bankwest Stadium, where Tigers have yet again shown a poor performance.
Parramatta just turned it on in the second half.
Yes.
And it was Mitchell Moses himself that got on with it. 152 running meters, one try assist, 3 tackle breaks, 8 from 8 goals converted, both penalty and try conversion. So 100% goal kicking for the day.
Yes. It was good that, the Parramatta, yet again, showing what they're worthy of. Joey Lustig coming back into the side. He's got a try, which is excellent to see.
It's a huge benefit for Brad Arthur that he has someone like Joey Lustig that I would say is similar mould to Reid Marnie, but he's got a bigger frame to work with.
Yes.
That try he scored from dummy up, you just looked at the bloody legs on him. I think the comment was made maybe by Peter Sterling or Andrew Johns on the Channel 9 broadcast that he could play second row with that sort of leg drive he's got.
He could, but he doesn't.
But it's just small body, big legs.
Yes, which doesn't come around much often. You could say that Mitch Moses took control of the match. So did Gutherson to an extent.
Both Moses and Gutherson were in complete control.
Well, Sevo, he crossed before he got sent.
I was actually having this conversation with the old man, and it was like, he's like, I haven't heard Sevo called much much this game.
And what does he do? Go and score a try pretty much after that?
It was literally then. It was literally, we haven't heard Sivo called that much. Next thing we know, Moses makes the break, gets down the left-hand touchline, and I'm just like, here's the big fella, here's Sivo. And it's just like...
Bit of deja vu, except for when I said that Kieran Foran had a quiet game on Anzac Day,
Yeah,
and then
that's
Kieran
exactly
Foran
right.
scored, so it's a bit like that, but except for Parramatta. But yeah, no, it was good to see that Leipzig and Sivo and all that scored. For the Tigers, well, where do we go? Where do we go?
Where can they go?
Well, Jacob Littlestraw was
That was just poor Parramatta defence. That was probably a stain on Parramatta's performance.
and Jimmy Roberts.
Oh, Roberts.
What? What about him?
I'm just trying to think what I'm going to say next about Roberts because, I mean...
Well, he scored that try.
Yeah, he scored the try. I mean...
But he had a fairly quiet game.
Well, to be honest, most of the Tigers, especially their biggest attacking weapons, I mean, even Leilua can't do everything and be everywhere at once.
Well, no, that's true. But the unfortunate news for the Tigers is that Adam Dewey went down,
Yeah.
which has been one of the star players this season. So,
And doing it from the centres, where everyone assumed he's a better 5'8".
yeah, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for, though. I hope not long.
That's going to be a big thing. And of course, Nathan Brown's in front of the judiciary. Micah Sivo's already got 1 week.
Isaiah Papali'i.
He's only got a fine. He'll be free to play.
And then Sean Bloor.
I haven't heard anything about Sean Bloor yet either.
Would you say Sean Bloor seemingly was a bit controversial?
What did he do again? I'm just trying to remember.
He said that he looked a bit shocked at the decision. I think it might have been, or it could have been like numerous.
Oh wait, didn't he try and go off against Campbell Gillard and he tried to throw some? I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
All right. Well, then also Papali'i with the knee to the head.
Yeah.
Was that good enough for a sin bin?
It was deliberate. It was heavily deliberate.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't try and knee someone in the head while they're already down on the ground being tackled. You just don't. That's a second effort that is worthy of professional foul.
Yeah, but would you say our fines fits the crime, or he should have got at least a week suspension?
They'll work on that. They'll honestly have to work on that.
Yeah.
Now, finally, in a little bit of a godsend, saving the Queen, the Bulldogs, 28, Downing, St. George, Illawarra, 26. The debilitated, fire-braving chicken, as I so colourfully put it at the top of the hour.
Yes. All I'm going to say...
Would you care to elaborate? Because we were both there at Stadium Australia for the second half because bloody Queen's birthday traffic. Give us a clean assessment. If you could sum up within a paragraph or so, how would you sum up what you witnessed of that gloriousness?
Well, not the gloriousness for the Dragons. All I'm going to say is Dragons were shit. End of story.
Would you like fries with that? Because there's a lot of salt I'm sensing on this side of the microphone.
And what makes matters things worse is that my co-host Connor has won the inaugural Sideline Chat co-host cup by 2 points. Because as we know, the Dragons won earlier on in round 9. And then the Dogs won again, obviously, on the weekend, or on Monday. And the final for and against for the Sideline Chat co-host cup was 40 to 38, which makes it even worse. And what makes matters even worse was the Dragons let me down because I was on for 7 out of 7 in the tip-in, and then the Dragons let me down. So I was on for 8 from 8, but no.
Honestly, watching that second half, because we got there by about half time.
A minute and a half to go in first half, but yeah.
By the time we actually got to our seats, it's in the northwestern corner, I just had the best 40 minutes. I honestly did. Just watching the Bulldogs pull something from the Warriors playbook of completing in the 90% range.
That has been unheard of for the Dogs so far this season.
And we've got better completion rates than most top 8 sides. I think we
94% completion rate from the Dogs, and it's still last in the ladder.
Well, yeah, because we didn't score enough. I mean, we scored the most points we did this season, but we still didn't score enough to get past the Broncos for and against,
of yet.
Which is still unbelievably shit.
Well, they're equal on minus 204. So
yeah, I suppose that it's alphabetical. It's decided.
Yeah.
So
standout play for me was Jake Averillo.
I agree.
Wow.
I agree. 2 tries, 122 running meters, 4 tackle breaks, and then 6 from 7 goals converted.
Yes. He had a blinder of a game, which is excellent to see.
Oh, yeah.
And even with a player in sin bin, somehow the Dogs... Well, with Josh Jackson put in the sin bin for, I could say, I think it was a professional foul. No. He was inside 10 and he got told numerous times before, so...
Yeah, just...
He got sent to the bin for that. But 4 minutes later, Averillo scored. And the Dragons didn't even score once.
Since the opening try of the match.
Yes, on the 20th minute by Braden Williami. That was a little kick through by Corey Norman.
And then meanwhile, you look at the other side. Jake Averillo got a double off the back of Nick Meaney's break, which he went at... he basically went... And was it Jared... Oh, no, Williami on that side, on the left-hand side for the Dragons.
Yeah.
And then Adam Elliott, what did he have? 5 Dragons hanging off him, and no one bothered to wrap him up.
Yep, that was the story of the Dragons game. Summed up right in that.
And then you let Marshall King, on his first game back, marking the fence between Alvaro and Matt Duffy, and you just let him slide in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you do not like the Queen's birthday whatsoever.
No. As
the patron saint of England, you should do better.
Yes.
As for us...
But, no, I'm happy that Four Corner as... Well, I'm going to say...
The bloody... every time, most of the time, I've been railing against the Dogs just because of our poor performances. And this is one of those rare occasions where I actually get to be happy to be a Dog supporter because we've had a big-ass win and we beat the Dragons. I'm just happy about that.
And it's your first ever Dogs home game.
Yeah, so that makes me even happier.
Which is why I'm happy for you, because the Dogs won on your first ever home game, so that's why...
I'm just in a good mood.
And it was a stronger crowd than first anticipated.
17,382. Yeah,
that's a much stronger crowd than what I first anticipated. No, but congratulations to the Dogs and congratulations to Connor for taking out the inaugural Sideline Co-Host Cup.
Yeah, I get nothing out of it, but I just get pride.
You don't know, you'll get something.
I get pride. That's what I get. That's my reward.
Well, watch it next year.
We're better next year, remember? We got all those players coming in. We're still recruiting.
Well, that's right. And for us, well, I don't know. We're just losing players.
All right. Now we'll change gear. We've got your NRL. It comes to that point of the program where we've got the round 15 predictions for the NRL. We start off Thursday night. Broncos, Rabbitohs. A couple of changes for Wayne Bennett's side. Benji Marshall and Peter Amazelos are both out of the side. Whether Marshall is getting rested or not remains to be heard of. The Origin reinforcements are back. Damien Cook is back in the side at dummy half with Marshall withdrawn. Jai Arrow and Cameron Murray make up the new second row combination with Keaton Kolala-Matangi, with James Sewer pushed back to the reserves, whilst Blake Taft, Liam Knight and Josh Mansour are all on the reserve at this point. Braden Burns also back to the bench with the return of Dane Gagai.
As for the Broncos, Xavier Coates back after a hamstring injury, which means Dale Copley goes back to the extended bench. We're testing you confirmed as the new fullback for the Broncos. Carmichael Hunt gets another go at 5'8" alongside Tyson Gamble, which Albert Kelly is still out for. Tyler Flegler remains at lock with Asiata going back to the bench, and Palacia, I
believe it's pronunciation.
My bad. Replaces Corey Pakes on the bench, with Reece Kennedy making his comeback by the extended bench. Well, this is the first game to kick off the Beanie for Brain Cancer round, which supports the very good cause of the Mark Hughes Foundation. As we are recording this episode, I've got my own Mark Hughes Foundation benny supporting the cause. So, all money goes to a good charity and good cause. So, yes, hopefully a lot gets raised over this weekend of football.
And this will be the first game that Damien Cook plays for South since that absolute brilliant performance he put in for Origin 1. I think that is what we expect of Damien Cook in the era of the Six again. That is what he should be doing.
Yes, but he had that bit of a quiet period where, well, when the first Six again will come in...
I think we all assumed South Sydney would dominate at this because Cook and Murray through the middle, they would generate that ruck speed and take advantage of these rule changes from that point and the current rules as it stands. But he just hasn't kicked on. I think now that he has kicked on at Origin level, I think he will take that back in the club level, and I think the Rabbitohs will kick up a gear.
They definitely will. Like, they're full strength, pretty much. Without, I don't know how they'll go without Benji Marshall coming off the bench in the game, but they'll still be, they're pretty much full strength, so it's good to see.
I think my concern would be Jai Arrow on an edge. That would be my only concern for South.
It could work, it could not work.
It depends, because I think if the Broncos can muscle up, he would be their target to go to.
Well, Cam Murray, he prefers an edge, doesn't he not?
No, he's a better lock forward.
Yeah.
He's a better lock forward, and I think that was the whole thing when Arrow and Murray, you have them both together, they're both good locks, but only one of them can start week in, week out.
Yes. Which turns out to be, well, Cam Murray starts in, week out, but yeah. No, they've got a good squad on paper, South, and they should get away with the win. And hopefully Carmichael Hunt's second return match is a lot better than the first.
Oh yeah, this will be his first game at Suncorp Stadium.
Yes, the return. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sellout up at Suncorp.
Well, Thursday night, you never know.
Yeah.
Look, I think the Broncos' right edge really need to muscle up because I think the Rabbitohs will throw all their big guns at them. They'll throw Mitchell, they'll throw Walker, and they'll throw John Onston down at that right side defensively. And I think if the Broncos can't hold them out, it's basically, I'm trying not to just say straight up, this will be a Rabbitohs 13-plus victory, but it's going to be a Rabbitohs 13-plus victory.
Yeah, I completely agree. They'll easily dominate the Broncos and win by a whopping 36 points. It's a no-brainer to go with the...
It's a safe bet.
Safe bet, yeah.
Now, first of the Friday night games sees the North Queensland Cowboys host the Cronulla Sharks at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium. One big blow for the Sharks is that Wade Graham has been ruled out due to HIA. With Siosifa Talakai lifted into the second row, and I believe Jack Williams takes his place on the bench, although it could be Teague Wilton.
It's Teague Wilton.
Sione Katoa and Braden Hanlon-Ueli also make up the reserves, so they could potentially start for Josh Hanne's side in his first game against the Cowboys, which would be a big boost indeed from the side that's relatively unchanged. Alongside them on the bench, Braden Trindle, having just signed a new 2-year contract extension to stay at the Sharks.
Yes. For the Cowboys, Cole Felt is back after missing last week, so Justin O'Neill dropped out of the 21-man squad altogether. Mitch Dunn is back into the starting lineup with his return. That means Cohen Hess is back into the front row, and Tom Gilbert to the interchange, and Peter Holler to the extended bench. In otherwise unchanged lineup.
For Tom Dearden's first appearance as a Cowboy, he was absolutely humiliated.
Yes. Is that because of his form from Brisbane coming across?
No, I just think...
Well, he hasn't adapted yet.
Well, he's only had limited training opportunities, but at the same time, you expect him to not have 50 put on his new side.
Well, no, that's very true.
It just happened. I mean, the Cowboys' right side defensively buckled with the way Parker and Ruben Garrick were chewing them up.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they still had Taumalolo there, and he was running hard, they just too much drop ball, I think, undid them in that game against Manly.
Yeah.
Or just Manly were just in thorough control.
Or a combination of both.
Yeah.
But this match is shaping up to be a good contest, I believe. Cowboys are in the 8, Sharks on the verge of the 8. So it could be a very, very close match.
Morale would have to be low at this point because this is the first time Todd Payton has conceded 50 this year after getting belted by Melbourne in Cogra last year as well.
It's true. But the Sharks are coming off a good run and just a narrow victory over the Panthers last week. So all the momentum is behind the Panthers. Behind the Sharks at the moment. So
the Sharks did get lucky, and I think if they get Hamueli and Katoa back in the lineup, that's a full strength Sharks side you got right there.
But the big loss is Wade Graham.
Oh yeah, Wade Graham. That is an exceptionally big loss. But at the same time, Talakai is a very capable ball runner. Very hard runner.
Very true. So you've got a very similarity.
I think this forward battle will be a good platform, but I think the halves combination of Matt Moylan and Sean Johnson, I think they will thrive off the back of that Sharks pack.
Yeah. Would you put Chad Townsend as a late inclusion? He's been named on the extended bench.
No, I wouldn't screw with anything at this moment. If Moylan and Johnson have gotten your 3 straight wins so far, you keep Moylan and Johnson for the foreseeable future until one of them gets plagued by injury or suspension or drop for poor form otherwise. I'd keep Moylan and Johnson there.
Yeah, so would I. The Cowboys, like you said, it's going to be a good battle up in the middle across both sides, but I think the Sharks are that better.
I would be going at the Cowboys' left edge defenders. So I'm looking at Tulagi, I'm looking at Tabuai Fido, and I'm looking at Drinkwater. So I think Johnson needs to break those. That Johnson needs to take charge and show the Cowboys who's in charge on that side of the field.
Yeah.
That would be where I'd be going.
Yeah. And that could truly exploit that and put that into action. Like I said, it could go either way, but with the momentum behind the Sharks at the moment, I'd say the Sharks are going to win by 14.
I think the Cowboys will be up for this, but I think the Sharks will get at home. So I'm going to say the Sharks up 1-12.
There we go.
Oh, now here we go. This is going to be an absolute blockbuster. Friday night football. Oh, we have the Penrith Panthers hosting the Sydney Roosters. A couple of big ins for the Roosters. James Tedesco back at full back. So he pushes Joey Manu back into the centres. Siosiua Taukiaho is also back up in the front row, which pushes back. Who did he push back again?
Fletcher Baker goes back to the bench.
And Sam Verrills also returns by either way of the bench, with Joseph Suwali returning to the reserves alongside Billy Smith, with Ben Marshke dropping out due to a suspension.
As for the Panthers, Nathan Cleary is back alongside Luai, Yo, Tatewell, and Martin are also back, which...
Don't forget Brian Toto.
And Toto, yes, which is the expense of, Sorensen, Hopgood, and I think...
Tyrone May.
And Tyrone May. Yes, Toto is back into the side. Kickout is out of the side, out of the squad altogether. And the rookie Isaac Targo has retained his place on the bench and will play his third game if he makes the game.
This is going to be an absolute cracker.
Game of the round.
Yeah, we got the Roosters, who still managed to find ways to win despite suffering massive injuries, including 3 retirements already this year, with the recent announcement that Boyd Cordner is going to hang up the boots.
Unfortunately.
Luke Keary is still sidelined.
Which he will be for the rest of the season.
And Victor Bradley's suspended. Unfortunately, he's had ongoing judicial and integrity problems with the NRL integrity unit as of last Saturday. So
yes,
he's still out for the foreseeable future. And Sam Verrills, of course, was out for some time after his retina got detached.
Somehow.
She's a funny game, rugby league, very disturbing as well.
At times, yes. So, I already said it's a match of game of the round by far. It's just a matter of who will come out on top. But with a full strength Panthers side, you wouldn't go past. We could go past them, but it'd be very hard.
It would be very close. I think what we're about to see, this will be a preview of State of Origin for the next 10 years. Cleary versus Walker. This is Generation Next.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to be seeing for the next 10 years. The best halfback for New South Wales versus the best half for Queensland. This will be the way it goes, and the Penrith Roosters rivalry will just get spicier from there.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, no, good point there. Look, with the Roosters just having a narrow victory, I'm hoping that they wouldn't have to be a narrow victors again this week. Surely, like they'll be.
This will be a grudge match. This will be hard and fast to see who's going to come out on top.
It's a hard one to pick, though.
To an extent, it is, because I'm thinking, even though all the Origin stars are back, does it automatically mean Penrith can just turn around on the dime after two bad performances?
I'm not quite sure, because obviously their Origin stars haven't played since Origin.
Well, they'll be fresh. They'll be fresh, but
true. It's really a flip of a coin. I reckon it could go down to the wire.
This is a game that will go down to the wire.
But if it goes down to the wire, who kicks the winning field goal, Cleary or Walker? Because we know what Walker's capable of, as of last week.
Yeah,
But we know that Cleary's done it time and time again. So,
look, this is a game that it can go either way, but at the end of the day, we do have to pick someone that we think can win it.
Yeah.
I think, how will they manage the Origin stars coming back? I think that'll be the big thing, because even though I think they've already done a better job than the Dragons of 2018, when they didn't play the Origin stars after game one, the momentum that Penrith are carrying, you're trying to generate something from nothing at this point in time. There's no good winning combinations to build off of. The Roosters, meanwhile, they've actually been less disrupted by Origin in recent years.
Yes, but they've been disrupted more by injuries and that more than anything else.
But they have demonstrated much more resilience than
that is true.
Penrith have when they are missing all their best players. So, like round 13, I'm going to take a roll of the dice. I'm going to say the Roosters win 1-12.
I'm going the opposite way. Being at Penrith, full strength squad for Penrith. I'm going to say Penrith in the 1-12 margin to win by 1 point before golden point.
Before golden point.
It'll be like similar to what Sam Walker did to the Titans last week, although with a minute to go. And Cleary will get the field goal, the 1 point field goal.
There you go. You heard it here first. Now, first of the Saturday triple header, the Newcastle Knights hosting the New Zealand Warriors. A couple of big ins and a couple of big outs. First with the outs, of course, we've already touched on. Chanel Harris-Tavita has torn his pec and potentially could miss the rest of the year. Ken Mamalo has left, as he's now a West Tiger. And Wade Egan is also missing due to injury or suspension. I think injury comes first.
For who, Wade Egan?
Yeah.
Head knock,
yep, so concussion.
Yeah.
But the good news is Reece Walsh is back at fullback, pushing Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to the wing, and Sean O'Sullivan is the new halfback, with Jazz Tavanga forming a front row rotation with Adam Fanua-Blake and Ben Murdoch-Masila. And Eli Katoa joins the bench alongside Lisa Narmal, Bunty Afoa, and Kane Evans.
As for the Knights, there are big players coming back in, with Mitchell Pearce and Callum Pollard to come back alongside Heimel Hunt making his return. But in unfortunate news, Bradman Best is going to miss up to 8 weeks with a syndesmosis injury that he sustained last week. Clemmer has to be...
No, Clemmer's been named.
Yes, but he's off the bench, so he has to settle for a bench spot.
But he's named nevertheless. That's an in.
Yes. With O'Brien sticking with the Safidi twins as the starters in the forwards. With Hunt returning, Tuala is taking the vacant spot left by Bradman Burst, while Connor Watson reverts to the bench and Jake Clifford 258 to accommodate Pearce. And Texwell is relegated to extend the bench with the return of Ponner. So very, very big names there for the Knights coming back. Ponner, Pearce.
Very, very big names that have not played in more than 2 months.
That is very, very true.
So we can't expect Newcastle to turn around immediately.
And yet another halves combination, Clifford and Pearce.
Meanwhile, Reece Walsh comes back in for the Warriors. That's a big in.
A definitely big in. We know what he's quite capable of. And it's good to see that two rush checkers make way for him again.
Look, there's no other way you can look at this apart from a Warriors 13-plus victory.
Or with Adam Fanua-Blake starting this week after being a late inclusion last week of the match, he will be on for some big minutes again this week. Josh Curran, he's been playing good.
And he's actually got a contract extension as well.
Until 2023, I believe.
I believe that is the case as well. So,
but I can't go. It's going to be a tight one. But I think the Warriors will get the win over the Knights in a 1-12 margin and win by 12 for the New Zealand side.
Now, the St. George Illawarra Dragons up against the Canberra Raiders at Winton Stadium. Only one out for Canberra, and that is the loss of Elijah Anderson. And I believe he was the 18th man in victory over the Broncos, whilst the side is unchanged since that win over the Broncos. Just 4 new names on the reserves, including Hudson Young and Ryan James amongst the big names.
All right, as for the Dragons, that went miserably down against the Dogs. It's pretty much the same 17, but Zach Lomax is the name that everyone, or every Dragons fan, has been waiting to see come back. He's on the reserves list in jersey number 21 and could make a late change, could be a late inclusion. And Tyrell Sloan is also named in reserves, and I don't think he will be a late inclusion, but Zach Lomax could be the big late inclusion there. I don't know if he makes a return, who will replace.
I think Jared Beale will be the first man to make way.
I'd say so, and keep that Lomax-Ravalawa combination going. That's been a force for the Dragons this season. For the sakes of my being a massive fan of the Dragons, I hope we win this one after getting a shock loss to the Dogs.
Well, you were outgunned in the middle and you're out infused. Put it this way: the Dogs' forward pack, I can concede, is we run on hard. That's what we did. We ran on hard and we ran hard through the middle.
Yeah.
With the likes of Hetherington, Jackson, and Thompson laying a very, very decent platform. Now, swap it out for the Raiders. What have you got? You got Papali'i, you got Dynamis Louis, then you got edge runners like Howard and Naira. And if you think that's bad enough, Tarpany, Gula, and Starling all off the bench. So you got size and speed to worry about.
And then you got the back line that played well last week with Simonson, Velame, Chris,
and Jack Whiten. Jack Whiten is the biggest weapon you need to worry about.
Yeah. Sam Williams, he's been playing reasonable.
Well, the ex-Wakefield skipper has been doing his best. I mean, the whole George Williams thing had taken its toll, but they've seemed to bounce back. This is a big test for Canberra if they can back it up, and I think they are catching the Dragons at a good time.
Yes.
And I feel very good. I think they've found that at mojo, and I think they can kick on here.
Only because you want to see me more miserable for another week.
No, it's an objective observation.
Yeah, I know.
Asian. I think the Dragons, they're dangerously on the slide, and the Raiders, if they can win here, they're back on the up for that top 8 finish. So I'm going to say the Raiders, they win 13+.
Look, if Zach Lomax had been named in reserves, I believe he's going to play in place of Beale. So you put Lomax straight into Beale's spot and relegate Beale. So having that Lomax who hasn't been playing for a month? It feels like ages. Going back alongside Ravalawa, that would be a good another combination watch. And to be at home again at Wollongong, It's going to be good, like a good crowd, you assume. And with the rate the Raiders have been playing, especially last week, they're on the comeback. So it could go either way. But I'm going to say the Dragons will win purely based that Zach Lomax will be back alongside Ravalawa, and the Dragons will win by 8 points.
All right, there we go. And the final game on Saturday, the Melbourne Storm, or should I say the Sunshine Coast Storm, as they have been recently known, up against the West Tigers. The Tigers have had a big out with no Adam Dewey, who went down injured, and Billy Walters also drops out of the side. Moses Mbai reclaimed his spot at 5'8", and new Tiger, Ken Mamalo, gets his first start on the left wing, pushing James Roberts into the centres. That would be the only change for Michael Maguire's side.
And for Craig Bellamy, Sophomore and Welch are returning this week. Jesse Bromwich is out with an injury, and Tui Kamakamika is on the bench. George Jennings, who missed last week, returns to the wing with Trent Lorio, drops off the bench.
As well as Dean Iramia.
Well, that too, yes. Dean Iramia also out. Well, Storm. Easy.
Yeah.
No,
there's no other explanation we can go for. The Tigers' defence.
Well, yes, they beat Penrith, but that was a reserve grade Panthers side. They got absolutely belted by the Eels last week.
Yeah, the Eels show them up big time.
But
left side and right side, well, I think more left side defensively, because it was Moses making all the breaks against them.
Yeah, against his former
club. And then you had Brown close to the line, popping offloads for Gufferson as well.
Yeah.
And Melbourne are just too organised.
Well, they're pretty much, like with the soft Samoa back and Christian Welch back, they're big ins. So, it'll be interesting to see how Ken Mamalo goes for the Tigers.
He's a big body.
He came off a hat-trick against for the Warriors against
the Melbourne Storm. So he's added to the list of all those players that have switched mid-season and end up are playing the same opposition twice in 2 weeks.
Yes,
but it's a Storm 13+ for me.
I agree. I'd say the Storm will be targeting Mamalo, not only because of what he did at the Warriors last week, but it's be a new combination there at the Tigers, so they'll be targeting that side of the field. Storm 13+ and going to win by 30 points. Tigers won't be in it.
Now, Sunday afternoon, we have the Parramatta Eels hosting the Canterbury Bulldogs at Bankwest Stadium, and the Dogs unchanged after that brilliant Queen's Birthday victory.
Yes. As for the Eels, they're back at home yet again. Sevo is out due to suspension, with Sean Russell to make his NRL debut in his place. With the only other change that comes on the bench, with Keegan Hipgrave named in jersey 16, with Bryce Cartwright dropping back to the reserves list.
As well as Nathaniel Roach on the bench.
And Blake Ferguson is named in amongst the reserves. Now, why did Brad Arthur drop Bryce Cartwright?
I don't know.
Because Cartwright's been playing really good coming off the bench, so it's a bit of a... you could say a bit of a sour note for him after...
He's in a better position, so I would think maybe 1 or 2 weeks there and he's back in the side before you know it. Or it could be a strategic ploy, try and save them up for the match against Penrith.
True, when they'll probably more than likely maybe have the Origin players out. Maybe. Oh, no, they wouldn't.
I think it depends.
Depends on when the team's going to announce.
Well, Origin, it's the 27th. Yeah, so I don't think...
Well, going into game one, they announced that they went into camp a week and a half out.
Well, round 16... Oh, no, there is no... So this is round 15. So...
Yes.
And standalone, then it'd be... Then we'd go to round 16, wouldn't we?
Round 15.
Yeah. And the 17th
so there'll be no
20th.
There'll be no regular season fixtures as of next weekend.
And then it'll be round 16, say, from 1st of July.
Yes. So it's the last shot at, across all comps.
So Penrith could be without their... Oh, no, Penrith would be, because it'd be 5-day turnaround for the Origin Stars, wouldn't it? After game 2.
Yeah. So really, it's a last chance to shine to see who gets selected for their respective Origin teams. I know the Dogs performed well, but coming against Parramatta, I don't think they've got a chance.
You know what? Coming into this, I had the same thinking as you, but you know what? We stuck it to the Dragons, and the Dragons beat the Eels back in round 5. The Eels lost to the Dragons in round 5 with that same forward pack, and we matched it with the forward pack that matched it with one of the better packs in the league. So you know what? I'm going to change my mind here. I think if we play with the same grit and determination, challenge the Eels through the middle, and then force them to come off their own line, I'm going to actually tip another. I'm going to go back-to-back upsets here. I'm going to tip the Bulldogs 1-12.
No. Yes, I know we beat the Eels, but that's when we were reasonable at the start of the year. Now we've gone downhill.
I think we were much better since the last time we met back in round 8. I think.
Yes, but the performance that Eels did against Tigers, against Bank West, against the Tigers at Bank West last week, it's going to be another win for the Eels to win by 24 against the Dogs.
I mean, I could see that happening, but I think we're a chance. I think this is where we build something, some consistency. I mean, and if we get Watene Zelezniak back as well, that
sounds like he won't be.
You never know.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think he will be.
Anyway, moving on. Final game of the round. We've got the Gold Coast Titans up against the Manly Sea Eagles. A couple of changes in and around the pack and the bench. Cade Cust drops out of the side with the return of Sean Kepi on the bench alongside Dylan Walker and Ben Trebojevic. And other than that, Manly are unchanged. 1-13.
For the home side, Vadawaker is back in the front row with Jermaine Jolliffe moving back to the bench. Kevin Proctor is out due to suspension, so Fafita has been named in the second row, and Fasil Mali is back at lock with AJ Brimson named in jersey number 21 and could return as a late inclusion, with Joseph Boona goes from the interchange to the bench, to the extended bench, I should add.
Manly. 13+.
Well, the Titans did give it to the Roosters, though.
They gave it to the Roosters, but I think this is it. They're going to be heartbroken that they went down to the Roosters after being so competitive, and I think that will have a very disastrous impact, especially with Tom Trebojevic back in the lineup.
Well, that's very, very true. But we have to think that is AJ Brimson going to be a late inclusion?
I think Brimson or no Brimson, it's still the same result. I think Manly come out and they win big.
I'm going to say AJ Brimson will be a late inclusion in the match. Replacing
Campbell
at fullback. And have that more experienced fullback against another fullback that's in top
against
form.
One of the league's tallest and most dangerous attacking weapons.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Well, Dylan Walker's coming off the bench so that he could get injected at any given moment. Ben Trebojevic is there. So we could see the three Trebojevics play
all at
reasonable minutes with reasonable minutes.
I would honestly think at some point he swaps places with Carl Lawton and he plays on an edge. But he'd probably be given a license to roam like Walker.
I thought Ben Trebojevic was a centre winger.
Centre, winger, he's also played second row as well, based on his SG ball highlights, I think it is.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I'm going to say Seagulls by 28 points. They're just going to be way too strong, especially with Turbo being back. I know Manly could do it without him, but they're going to be the extra strong this week with him back.
Well, that's your NRL round 14 of 15 debrief for this week. Stay tuned as we talk more Betfred Super League action, waves of disappointment, matches getting cancelled, and a new league leader that isn't English. Stick around for your round 9-10 debrief.